Hey guys, this is Brienne with TwinFlameUnionWithin.com and welcome back to my channel. Today I had a healing experience and I felt guided to share it with you all. So I'm on my twin flame journey and I have been since 2016. And on my inner healing work and my inner healing journey, I've come to know myself on a deeper level. And so sometimes when I heal through a block or an upset, I'm really surprised at the surface upset was not even what the core issue was, or I don't even understand how it's connected until I go deep into my heart, into my feelings, and then I realize what the root of it was. And my purpose for sharing this is because I'm a Virgo, and I seem to manifest physical symptoms all the time. And the physical symptoms are always related to an emotional block, a trauma that I had maybe when I was a child, like every single time. I don't know if I think it's a Virgo thing, like we manifest physical symptoms, but I know it's definitely a Brienne thing. So my hopes is to share this with you, and maybe it will help you to identify a pattern or a block within you as well. So how this all started, I'm going to go back a little bit. Probably in 2000, I want to say 2012, 2013, somewhere around that time, I started having issues with, well, I didn't know what the issue was, but I would be at work and I would all of a sudden feel like nauseated and shaky, almost like I was going to pass out. And so, several times my coworkers, they would bring me into an office, and we worked in like a factory that was like 110 degrees in the summertime and high humidity. So I always related it to the hot climate because they would take me in an office and I would cool down and I'd feel better. But it continued, like it would always come back. Like I would feel better and it would eventually come back. But finally, what I figured out is it was my blood sugar. I was having low blood sugar problems. And so it progressively got worse. And my diet prior to that was like always cookies, pizza, like high carbohydrates. It was just a horrible diet. Mountain Dews, Cokes, everything sugar. It was always sugar. I did not eat a good diet at all. So it only made sense why I was having blood sugar problems, right? But what I didn't know is there was a deeper issue. It wasn't just blood sugar problems. It was something much deeper. So I went to my doctors and they couldn't do anything for me. They just, told me to go on like a diabetic diet, what a diabetic eats. And I wasn't diabetic. I had the opposite issue of that. Like a diabetic has a high blood sugar and they have to take insulin or eat a balanced diet to keep their blood sugar at a stable or healthy levels, right? But mine was the opposite. And with mine, I found that it dropped all the time. I mean, it was really bad. Like if I ate something to bring it up, if that something was a carb, it would shoot up and then it would automatically drop right back down. So it was very unstable. And I was sick for a long time. And luckily, the times that I was really sick, I was actually laid off due to lack of work from my job. So it was always like the perfect time, for me to really focus on myself and heal this. And this was before I knew of the inner work. This was before I woke up to the twin flame journey. This was a few years before any of this. So it really took a lot of effort to find the right balance for my diet so that I could at least work and maintain it, maintain my life, because I was sick all the time. So it took about 3 or 4 years before I found a very good balance. I had found that high protein, low carb was the best thing for me, but my body had to go through a transition because I was so used to eating like high carbohydrates and sugary foods. My body had to go through an adjustment period for quite a while. I was going from really crappy diet to way to the other extreme, to where there was hardly any sugar, any carbs whatsoever. So there was definitely a process and a transition time for quite a while. But eventually I found balance, and through eating the high protein. But fast forward into my into my twin flame journey. So I still have issues today. Like, I still have to eat a high protein diet to keep myself balanced and stabilized. And I've really been wanting to heal this, because I feel like I've structured I have an unhealthy attachment to food. Like, and I didn't realize that I had this. Like, I thought, oh, well, just my body's looking for balance. And so my unhealthy attachment is that I've rather than claiming God as my source, I've claimed food as my source in that sense. So there's an attachment to food, an unhealthy attachment. I feel that without my high protein diet, that I'm trying to explain it. Without the high protein diet, like, I feel like I'll get sick. It's almost like I'm dependent on it now. And so God has finally guided me to that place within where this all stems from. And that happened today, this morning. I had a lot of anger coming up, and I didn't know where the anger was stemming from. I didn't sleep well last night. So when I'm in an upset like that, and I really can't find what is coming up, I like to grab a pen and paper and write it down. So as I was writing, I realized, okay, so my blood sugar, I desire for it to be balanced. So what do? I eat high protein, so that balances. So I'm craving balance in my life. I'm craving stability in my life. And I had all of these emotions coming up. And I asked God, I was like, okay, what is this connected to? And what I realized, God gave me a thought, and the thought was, it took me back to my childhood. So as a child, my parents were divorced. They divorced when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And my mom remarried and my dad remarried. And there was a lot of what am I trying to say? Kind of turmoil in the family. Like, it split the family apart in many different directions. So you had people over here not talking to the family over here, family over on this side not talking to family over here. So everybody was divided, and everybody took a side. And that caused a lot of issues. On top of, both of my parents got remarried, so there was more family brought into the mix. And so as a child, I was spread thin. Like, I would go to one house and I would conform to the environment of that home, and then I would go to another home and I would conform to the environment of that home, and it was always to keep everyone happy. What I felt was, I always wanted to keep my parents happy, or my grandparents, whoever I was around. I wanted them to be happy, and if they weren't happy, then I wasn't happy. And but what I didn't realize is that I couldn't make them happy. I was not their source of happiness, and that wasn't up for me to do. So anyways, I never felt that I fit in anywhere I went, and I didn't have a stable environment. I was always bouncing around from house to house to house. There was never any stability, never any balance in my life. And I was what they call a latchkey kid. And I don't know if you're from the United States or if you're from another country, but here in the US, when I was growing up, we had what you call when a child gets on the bus and goes to school and then gets off the bus and goes home, and they have their house key, and they, essentially take care of themselves. Like, it's called a latchkey kid. So I had my own key, and I would go home in the evenings, and my parents worked, stepdad and my mom worked long hours. So I would go home to an empty house, and I would make myself a meal. I took care of myself. And in those times, I really learned to survive on my own, to support myself. Um, and I grew up from a young child being my own support. And it served me for a long time. Like in my teenage years into my young adulthood, I really knew how to take care of myself. I grew up very quickly because of that. But what I didn't realize is that in my core, I had buried this upset. This upset as a child, that there was no stability, there was no balance in my life. And it was very upsetting to me. But I buried it deep within, and I carried it. I carried it throughout my life until eventually it manifested into a physical problem. And this is how important this body of work is, and it's how important it is to do your inner work on your twin flame journey, on your spiritual journey, whatever kind of journey you're on. It's very important because every single thing, whether it's a physical manifestation or it's outside of you, it's a result of an emotion, a feeling, a trauma within you, and you're going to manifest it in one way or another. And for me, oftentimes it's physical symptoms. And I'm actively working on healing all of this. I know if you've been following my channel, I think like 2 weeks ago, I made a video about a tooth. So, so for me, it's a lot of physical symptoms. And I know like diabetes and hypoglycemia, things like that is very, very common across the world. And I just know that everyone that's battling, whether it be, a diabetic, or it can be even a disease, such as cancer, like all of this can be healed because it's only a place within you that is out of alignment with love. And it is a process. It does take some time to get to the core of that. And that's the whole reason that I'm sharing this with you. And kind of feel like my videos are leaning more towards not only twin flames, but it kind of extending it out into a broader area of people that are, people like me that have been battling with blood sugar issues. So after when I realized this through my inner healing work, I claimed God as my support. I claimed God as my stability, and I surrender this unhealthy attachment that I have to food. Like food, God supports us in many ways, and that is in the means of, money, food. Just support can come in so many different ways. But if you have an unhealthy attachment to that support, then you're out of alignment there, and you want to correct that. So yeah, I hope that this helps you. I hope that you're able to take something away from it. Like if you're experiencing a physical symptom and you're unsure of, what is this showing me? Like what is this? And you're wanting to heal it, maybe grab a pen and paper and look at the key. Like for me, like blood sugar. Okay, mine was very like up and down, up and down, up and down. So there was a lack of balance. I crave balance. And it was almost like when my blood sugar would drop, I would feel this panicky feeling, this anxiety, almost like a sense that I was losing control. And there was a fear of going unconscious, like passing out and losing complete control. So that also told me that there was, this was me controlling an aspect of my reality, feeling that I needed to control in order to have support and stability in my life. And the way that I was controlling it was through food. So you can see that how unhealthy this is. And I also had awareness come through, like, how is this being mirrored through my twin? Well, my twin is craving stability and support. And I know what God was sharing with me is that, my twin is in a feminine body, or a female's body, but my twin is a masculine energy. So my twin is craving that stability and that balance in relationships, right? My twin has always dated men, or just closed off from expressing, himself. I'll just say him, since it's a divine masculine. So that's how it's being mirrored. So in me surrendering control and healing myself and coming into alignment with love, that naturally my twin flame makes that same core choice. And we both, we're both choosing balance and stability and surrendering control. And this only brings us deeper into our union, deeper into our oneness with one another and with God. And this is the manifestation of harmonious union in the making. So if you have any questions, feel free to post below. If you have any comments, I love to hear what you have to share. If you're experiencing something similar, or if you resonate in any way, you're welcome to give your feedback. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more.